Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Monday edition of the Computer America Show. The EFF is here. That's the Electronic Frontier Foundation. We're going to be talking about online privacy and net neutrality. It's going to be a very interesting show. Hour 2, Computer and Technology News, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And also, not one, but two brand new news tips, bulletin reviews by the editor, Marty Winston. So sit back, relax.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds.
Here we go.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
Ben, hi. How are you?
I had to make sure my mute button wasn't on. I remember the horrors of Friday.
Yes, exactly. What was up with that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how was your weekend?
My weekend was great. It was just kind of quiet and pretty much didn't do too much of anything. There weren't any good movies to go see. So I watched a couple on, your mom and I
think
watched.
you should rephrase that. There weren't any movies you were interested in watching.
This is true. Okay. But thank you.
There could have been good movies.
There could have been. There probably were. Nothing that appealed to me as a moviegoer to spend money to go into a theater. I mean,
No, you did it again. No, nothing that appealed to you, Craig Crossman, not as a moviegoer. It sounds like you're speaking for all the moviegoers everywhere out there.
Moi, myself.
Craig Crossman.
Yes. The Denzel Washington, his new movie, The Enforcer, that looks intriguing, but that's not something I would go into a movie. I wouldn't go personally into a movie theater to see it, but I will probably definitely watch it when it comes out on HBO or something like that.
When it requires less effort than leaving my house and putting pants on, I will be happy to watch that movie.
You too, huh? Okay.
No, I'm just translating what you're saying to English.
So anyway, hopefully all of you did have a good weekend, and sometimes just staying home is a good thing. Just kind of kick back, relax.
Yeah, but it's not every weekend.
No,
it's not every weekend.
No, not at all. Not every weekend. No, not at all. Anything else you want to? I know we got hit by an asteroid, not by an asteroid, by a piece of an asteroid, according to one of the news stories that landed somewhere in some.
The fact that I'm sure 90% of the people out there haven't heard of it means that it wasn't a big deal.
No, it was a little tiny rock, a pebble, small. But because we dodged the bullet with that other asteroid, it misses by about 120,000 miles or something.
Oh my word! You could feel it as it breezed by. It rustled your hair, I guess.
Exactly. Just went right by.
At 120,000 miles.
What was between? It's less than the distance that the moon is.
The moon is very far away. People don't get this. The moon is actually quite far. It looks close, but it's a big thing.
Yeah. Well, I know that the sun is 93 million miles away. How far away is the moon, though?
I want to say 200,000, but don't quote me on that.
Well, you can Google it and find out. You see?
Oh yeah, no, I could.
If you could.
I won't.
Okay. Well, if you have a comment or a question for our guest, we certainly would love to hear from you. We're going to be talking about net neutrality and as an online privacy with an organization that really deals with that. Give us a call at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. That'll get you on and get you through. Email is live, Live, at ComputerAmerica.com. If you don't want to go in the air, but you still have a comment or a question, that's a great way to reach us. You can also join us in our live, interactive IRC chat room. From our homepage at ComputerAmerica.com, you'll see a button that says Live Video and Chat. Just click that, and you'll see it's in two halves. On the left side, you'll see Connect to a Free Node IRC. Just put in a nickname. That's the name you'll be known by when you go in there. Put in the CAPTCHA a number or words just to confirm that you're not a bot, you're a live person. Click the connect button, and your browser will move you right into the IRC chat room. You can also download plugins for your browser, for your Chrome or for your Firefox. They're like Chatzilla or HexChat. These are plugins that will make the chat room look visually more presentable. It has little windows, but you don't have to do that. You can just go right and use your browser. That's fine too. And then sharing that same page is our live Computer America video streaming page, where you can actually watch the live show. And that's brought to you by Other World Computing. Quality products, expert support since 1988. They're now celebrating their 25th anniversary. They're the award-winning Other World Computing. They just recently won in August, not one, but 2 Stevie Awards from the American Business Association. So congratulations to them for doing that. Everything you need to know from them, just go to their website at www.macsales.com for all your computing needs, for your Mac, for your Windows PC, for your legacy Macs. You're looking for memory or hard drives that that you can't get anymore for your older Macs or PCs. They have them there at macsales.com. Anything over $49, you get free ground shipping, which means about 80% of the country will get it in 2 days. www.macsales.com for your Xbox One, for your PlayStation 4. They have hard drive. You can increase the capacity of your hard drives. That's one of the products that won one of the Stevie Awards too. They have a 1.5 terabyte drive for the PlayStation 4. They give you the flash memory and the stick, and they even give you a screwdriver. And they have their those beautiful videos that they have on their own YouTube station, so you can actually watch and see how to install the things. That's some of the things you can say about them. Other World Computing. Just go to their website, MacSales, MACSALES.com for all your computing needs. You'll be happy that we sent you there. MacSales.com. Okay, so I think that's everything. Ben, we should get to our guests, because I know it's a hot topic. We have lots of things to talk about now. The Electronic Frontier Foundation is the leading nonprofit organization defending civil liberties in the digital world. They were founded in 1990. The EFF champions user privacy, free expression, and innovation through impact litigation, policy analysis, grassroots activism, and technology development. When it comes to online privacy and net neutrality, the EFF is at the forefront of issues like these. Now, please join us. We welcome Jeremy Galula to the show. Jeremy is the staff technologist for the EFF. Jeremy, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the EFF and who are they? I kind of introduced you, but why don't you, in your own words, kind of explain what the EFF, what their mantra is, what they're hoping to accomplish.
So you did a pretty good job. That pretty much sums it up. So EFF, we're a nonprofit that is focused on digital civil liberties. So focused on the idea that just because you're using technology doesn't mean you should have less civil liberties. If anything, it means you should have the same sort of civil liberties that you would expect in sort of the real world, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Okay. So things like if the police demand to search your cell phone without a warrant, there was a Supreme Court ruling that recently ruled that they can't do that they need a warrant, and that was something where we weren't that particular case, but that was the sort of thing that we work on. So we do litigation. We also try to educate the public. We've got a blog called Deep Links, which you can check out at our website, EFF.org, and we write about all sorts of topics there. And we actually, I'm a technologist here. It's not just a bunch of lawyers and activists. They're actually, people who work on honest-to-God technology here. And so some of the things we do are we develop things like browser extensions, which can enhance your safety, or your safety, your security, and your privacy online. So it's sort of basically, if it has to do with protecting privacy online, we're definitely focused on it.
And that's very important because obviously you're a technologist, so you understand the issues at hand. and you work hand in hand. You have, I assume, attorneys who are either on staff. Who? Now, what was the? Recently, I read the EFF. I think there was some little girl who downloaded music to the tune of, and then it was. She had a problem with the RIA, RIAA. Were you involved with that as well? I mean, helping.
So I personally wasn't, but that is and this is something where EFF's focus has shifted a little bit over the course of the years. I mean, as you said, we're coming up on our we were founded in 1990 and coming up on our 25th anniversary next year. But you know, several years back, sort of at the God, I can't believe I'm about to say at the turn of the century. That sounds ridiculous. Yeah. But in the late 90s, early 2000s, we were definitely focused on sort of the overzealous, and it is still something we work on, overzealous copyright enforcement, and you know, the terrible issues with the DMCA and the RIAA going after, you know, people who for, you know, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars just for sharing a song online.
Yeah.
But it is true that since in the past couple of years, our focus has shifted a bit, and we're also very, very, very concerned about privacy issues, especially with respect to government surveillance online.
All right, and
real quick, going along the same line, it seems like every time you hear a case come out that, you know, some kid illegally downloaded a game, and all of a sudden, you know, the game publisher's lawyers are trying to sue them for $10 million, or, you know, music or videos, what have you, and it's always like to the nth degree. It's always just way out there, you know, millions of dollars, damages, prison time, all this stuff. I mean, I don't think I've, you know, yet to hear of a case, maybe because it's not, you know, buzzworthy, of like a happy middle ground where, you know, yeah, they were wrong, they got caught, and they had to pay like a small fine or something. I mean, why is it that, you know, whenever cases like these break, why is it always that these things are just huge, you know, blown out of proportion?
So I should preface this, and I'll throw it out now. I'm not a lawyer,
right?
So I'm definitely not, you know, not qualified to speak about legal issues. But what I do know, despite that, I still, because I work so closely with lots and lots of attorneys here at EFF, I know that, for example, when the practice has been by organizations like the RIAA, or, you know, music companies or video game companies or whatever, that when they find someone who does this, I mean, they have to pay lawyers to enforce this, and so as a result, it's not worth it for them unless they can get a couple $1,000s per person. And so that's actually what they have done in the past, is they've sent letters to people saying, hey, look, we think we caught you file sharing. If you pay us a couple $1,000s, we'll just let the matter drop. But then when people don't pay that, and frequently, you know, people can't afford to pay that, in statute, the minimum fine is $750 per song. And so if you've shared 20 songs, you know, that's rapidly approaching $1,500.
Yeah, it is.
And that's just that's the minimum. And of course, there's no incentive for these companies to ask for the minimum. They might as well ask for the maximum, which is some, you know, ungodly several $1,000s per song.
Right.
So
it gets up into the millions. It's just when you it's sure
it's
I'm sorry.
I was going to say it's fundamentally a problem with the way the law is written, because the law was written to take down sort of commercial copyright infringers, people, you know, the mob, or, you know, criminal organizations that would pirate, you know, thousands of DVDs and did it as a business. And the law was not written to deal with people who just happened to be sharing something, and, you know, so that they could, you know, share it with their friends, or just thought that, hey, this is a cool song, I think the rest of the world should hear about it. And the law wasn't written for them, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the government, Congress, has really been interested in changing how the law is written, of course, because these sort of copyright industries have insanely deep pockets to keep the law the way it is.
Yeah, and you see, it was like this little girl. She was like 12 or 13 years old, and
hardened criminal. You could tell it's just a life of
But
hard
you know, we're
knocks.
looking to make an example, and certainly, I mean, it was a terrible thing. But I understand that the EFF came to her assistance, and certainly was able to iron things out. But again, I guess what I really want to get to you is two things tonight. We want to talk about a little bit about your privacy online, and the other thing I want to talk about is net neutrality, because I know that's a hot issue. Net neutrality being a hot issue, you know, I immediately went to the EFF.org website to see more about it, and as you know, there was nothing there. They evidently have a separate website for net neutrality, which is dearfcc.org, which you can. But I understand that you're going to talk to them to see if we can get that moved over to the EFF, or at least put a link, or when you go to, or when you at least go to.
Yeah, definitely. We
take
need
action.
To put a link in there.
Yeah, or to take action, because you have all the things that you know to take action. If you can put it there somewhere. So if you're looking for net neutrality and you go to the EFF website.org website, you might not find it there. But Jeremy's going to work on fixing that. In the meantime, let's start off with a little bit about online privacy, and I guess. Why don't you start it off by telling us why? I mean, I would think it's fairly obvious, but why don't you tell us why people should care about their online privacy?
I mean, I think the news the past week and a half has really done my job for me in terms of the iCloud celebrity selfie scandal.
Yeah.
When you're, I mean, it's simply put that more and more people, more of our lives are online. It's not just people happen to be online banking in Amazon now, or posting, things to their friends in Facebook or something like that. Our very lives are online, and there are many parts of our lives that, while we're happy to share with friends or family, or maybe even some parts of our life that we don't care if they're public, there are plenty of other parts of our life that we really don't want, broadcast to the world. And it's not necessarily because it's anything, super terrible or super embarrassing. It might not even be, rise to the level of, a nude selfie. But we still wouldn't necessarily want it shared with the world. And this goes for lots of things that you may not even realize you're sharing. I mean, this could be everything from, it could be things like that, but it could also just be your browsing history. You don't necessarily want the, third parties to be able to tell everywhere you've been. You don't necessarily want law enforcement to know every website you visited, because they may think that, hey, that one particular website's suspicious. Maybe we should look into this guy some more. So it just comes down to that, privacy we think privacy is a fundamental right, and it should be a right whether you're online or offline.
Well, let's talk about it. For example, my wife was looking at kitchen cabinets online on eBay, and she was looking for some gray cabinets and everything. Well, the next day she came back, I think like 90% of all the ads that were being hit with her were about kitchen cabinets and links to kitchen cabinets, because she looked at them once or twice, all these different things. So obviously there was a record being kept about where she was going and what she was looking at, and she found that a little creepy, to put it in her words. And yet at the same time, I wonder, if I'm looking for a watch of some sort, and then it comes back and says, well, how about this kind of watch? And I haven't looked, but it's something that I'm interested in. I might be happy that they pointed me in a particular direction that I might not have looked at before. So I guess it's a balancing act, or a trade-off. How much of your privacy do you want to protect? Why don't you speak a little bit on that?
Sure. So I think you've actually hit the nail on the head, which is that it should be your choice how much you want to share online. And so your wife, for example, thought it was a little creepy because she wasn't expecting it. She hadn't opted in. She hadn't clicked on an ad that says, yes, show me more about kitchen cabinets the next time I log in. Whereas if she had, and if it was a conscious choice and she knew what was going on, and it was her choice, her informed choice, there's nothing wrong with that. we don't have anything against a third party tracking you online if you're aware of it and if you opt into it. But it's when these companies sort of do it without your knowledge, without your consent, that we think you're losing something. You're losing the right to, or you're losing the ability to make a choice about how the world, and in particular the internet, perceives you.
I think you hit the nail on the head too. Quite frankly, Jeremy. I mean, if you give people the choice to say yes or no about something, I think I've always been an advocate of choice. You give people the option: would you like this or would you not like this? I mean, as long as you give people the choice to do it, then I think everybody's happy. And it's when you don't give them the choice, you say, well, this is just going to happen. Therein lies a problem or the.
But I mean, I hate to play the other party, the advocate, what have you. But thank you, devil's advocate. But I mean, I'm still getting the phone book, even though I haven't read one in about 2.5 years. I get one about every month. Aren't some things just aren't some things just not an option to opt in or opt out? You're just, it's just the way it is going to be.
Well, I mean, thinking about the phone book, you have the option of having an unlisted number.
Yeah, but they charge you for it. They charge you for it. If you want to.
No. I'm not talking about being in the phone book. I'm talking about getting it on my doorstep, and I have to throw away that 15-pound paperweight every month. I can't opt out of getting the phone book. The phone book, comes by regardless of whether or not I want it.
True, but I would also argue that the getting the phone book is kind of like getting junk mail. It's not about getting the phone book doesn't infringe on your privacy. It doesn't give anyone else information about you. So I guess I'd say
I might have used the wrong. I might have used the wrong example. I was going more along the lines of, even though I would very much like to not get the phone book, it's just not within my control. I'm going to get that. The search engines are going to scan my searches, to see what I'm looking at, and then they're going to serve advertisements that relate to that. I mean, isn't that just how these things work? And can't people learn to come and love, what the little privacy that they get when using these tools?
I mean, it is unfortunately how these things are working, but I guess what I'm trying to say is it doesn't have to be. It's and I think it's the reality in which people have a choice is a reality in which not only will people have more privacy, but I think it would actually even be better for the advertising agencies and the companies that are buying the ad space, because then they would not only get be able to target to some people, they'd get feedback, perhaps even more feedback. If you're looking for something and then an ad says, "Do you want to see more of this?" And you affirmatively click yes, that's telling the advertising company a lot more, I would say, than just the occasional click on one of their ads, whether or not it's targeted. Yeah. And also, it turns out you can opt out of getting the phone book. I just checked. Yellow Pages.
Really? Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Well, with apologies to Steve Martin, though, Ben, if you had to be somebody, you had to have your name in the phone book. So. Okay.
That's true.
I gotcha.
From the movie The Jerk, remember? All right. Yeah. All right. So I didn't realize. So you can opt out. You just go to yellowpages.com and then what? You put your name and address in there.
Yellow Pages opt out, or at least that's what a quick Google search tells me.
Okay.
See, but I think much like the phone book, and yay for being able to opt out of that. You would very much prefer a system that is opt in instead of opt out.
In terms of people's privacy choices, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So obviously it's important to your online privacy is important. So that begs the question: how worried should I really be about my privacy online?
So I would say it depends on who you're worried about infringing your privacy. Mm-hmm. If you're worried about some hacking group trying to get access to your nude selfies on iCloud, I would say that unless you happen to be a celebrity, chances are it's not a lot to worry about. But if you're worried about a a third-party advertising agency tracking you as you browse across the web, obviously we've seen that happens to everybody. It happened to your wife. I mean, it's unfortunately part of the way advertising companies are working on the web. And with that said, you know, there certainly are malicious agents out there who want to infringe your privacy for their own reasons. They might want to get your Facebook account so that they can then get at other people's Facebook account and get information, or they might want to get your information so that they can steal your identity or something like that.
Now there are there are products out there like I think AdBlock is one of them out there that allows you to prevent different advertisements appearing on your browser. I don't know if they block the tracking though, but I do know they prevent ads from appearing on your website. There are third-party products out there that do things like that, correct?
There are, absolutely, and in fact, EFF I wouldn't say just about 2, maybe 3 months ago, released our own browser plugin, which is specifically targeted at blocking third-party tracking, called Privacy Badger. Oh. And it's unlike AdBlock. AdBlock is obviously targeted towards ads. With Privacy Badger, we're more worried about the underlying tracking behavior. So if an ad network respects people tracked, then we say, sure, fine, go ahead, serve ads. You know, that is how that is what makes part of the internet run. A lot of these free services depend on ads, and as long as you're doing it in a way that respects people's privacy, by all means, please do. But if you're not going to respect people's choices, you're never going to see those users again, and they're never going to see your ads. And
that's called Privacy Badger?
Privacy Badger. It's an extension for Firefox and for Chrome. You can get it off of our website. I think you can also I'm sure if you just Google Privacy Badger, it'll come up. I'm guessing the URL is also privacy or EFF.org/Privacy Badger. There we go.
And is it for all platforms? Is it for Mac, Windows, that type of thing?
Yeah, it's browser specific, not platform specific. So it's for Firefox or Chrome on Windows, Mac, or Linux.
Okay.
We don't yet have a mobile version. That's something we've been thinking about, but it's a little trickier, just because mobile browsers are not necessarily designed with extensions in mind. But otherwise, yeah, by all means, check it out.
Okay. All right. So, well, you've just spoken on what you can do to enhance your privacy and to be more secure online. Things like Privacy Badger. Anything else I can do to enhance my privacy?
So a big one, and this is, I mean, in some sense, privacy and security go hand in hand, and a big one is two-factor authentication. A lot of these services, and this is something that I'm actually, it blows my mind that in the past week and a half, I've actually seen mainstream news talk about this dry term, two-factor authentication, and what it is. So for those who don't know, I guess I'll just explain it real quick. The idea with two-factor authentication is that when you try to log into a service, Google, iCloud, whatever, after you type in your username and password, Google or Apple or whoever, Dropbox, will send a text message to your phone with a little code that you then have to enter in onto the website to finish logging in. And the idea is that it increases security because not only to get into your account, not only do you need to know something, so it's something you prove that you know something, your password, but you also prove that you have something, which in this case is access to your phone number. And obviously it's a lot harder for someone, you know, half a world away to try and hack into your account or guess your security questions if they get stuck at the part where they don't have access to your text messages, so they can't get in. And so enabling two-factor authentication wherever it's available, a lot of services offer it. Unfortunately, at the moment, it tends to be an optional thing, and it's usually not the default. But searching for that in your various services and enabling it is a great way to make sure that your accounts stay secure.
Okay. And also there are things like VPNs. I know that you can get, like we have one called ProXPN here on the website. So basically, you can use an open VPN to basically hide who you are and keep your anonymity. Does the EFF approve of those types of services as well?
Absolutely. So VPNs, I would say the primary use of VPNs, I mean, and it depends on the specific VPN. But if you're connected to an internet connection that you don't trust, you know, you're at a cafe or a hotel or an airport or something,
yeah,
and you're using the Wi-Fi,
right?
And they do provide some level of anonymity,
right.
Too.
Well, I'll tell you what.
There's also
Jeremy, I'll tell you what.
Sorry, go ahead.
We're at the bottom of the hour. It's the music means. We'll continue with that. And we'll talk more about open VPNs and also get into net neutrality, okay? This is the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. We will be right back. News tip review coming up.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No hair removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Bonsoir. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Oh.
This time, the data locker Sentry and encrypt disks.
You know what?
It looks like other...
For some reason, I had the wrong one on there. That's strange. Oh, well, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
Was that an older one?
Yeah, no, let me just see what happened there and why that happened. Let me just see if I can play that here, and we'll see. There we go. Try this one.
Bonsoir. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the data locker Sentry and encrypt disks. It looks like other 8GB memory stick USB drives, but the data locker Sentry is very persnickety about letting anybody see your work with what's on it. You need to remember the password you set up, and it requires something complex, lowercase, uppercase, numerals, and a minimum length. So you'll have to think of something other than PASSWORD this time. The 100% hardware encryption is FIPS 140-2 certified, so breaking it won't be easy. They also included samples of their encrypt disk, CDR and DVD-R FIPS 140-2 validated, 256-bit AES encrypted optical disks. Same deal. You create a password before you can burn them, and can only read them after entering the same.
Okay. Well, I don't know. We're having some technical difficulties, so sorry about that. Go ahead, Ben. You take it.
Okay. Welcome back to the Computer America Show. I'm sure that next bottom of the hour, our News Tip Bulletin Review will be up and running, or at least in pieces on the floor, ready to pick up. So in the meantime, we have Jeremy here, and from the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and we're kind of going over the ways that as an internet user, as I'm sure a healthy portion of you are, if not everyone, how you can, kind of protect yourself, or at least, privacy is the name of the game. And right before the break, we were discussing VPNs, where Jeremy had already, outlined the use case. If you are using some kind of Wi-Fi hotspot, say Starbucks, airport, what have you, connecting through one of these could keep you safer in those very vulnerable times. And yeah, we were kind of about there, right?
Yep, I guess so. Oh, Jeremy, that's right. Sorry, Jeremy. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I guess I was on mute. So
Yeah.
I was just going to say the only other thing I wanted to mention about VPNs, I guess, before we headed off to net neutrality land, was to plug something called the Tor project, which is a way it's a little different from a normal VPN in that it bounces your connections across a network of nodes set up by volunteers all across the internet to enhance your anonymity. And I would say if you're trying to surf anonymously online, I mean there are some tricks to using it. You can't really use Flash if you're using it, but it was a EFF project a long time ago. It was actually originally a Navy project funded by, I think, the Office of Naval Research. But if you're interested in privacy and anonymity online, I highly recommend checking out torproject.org.
All right. Yeah. No. I really kind of wish that Aaron was here to talk with you about all this stuff, because trying to use his computer, whenever I go over there, it's like he's signing into a battle station. I mean, he has VPNs. He uses the Tor project. He has a DuckDuckGo instead of Google. Oh, heaven forbid if you use Google instead of DuckDuckGo. He is just protection all over the place, and I guess he might be the safest one there. I'm sure he's not doing anything. I mean, I don't know if we've really said this yet, but I guess even if you want to be hidden and anonymous on the internet, that doesn't mean you're doing anything bad, right?
No, I mean absolutely. I would argue that privacy, it just has to do with controlling what the information about you that is out there, and I'd say that's a natural human thing to do. People use Tor, for example. Whistleblowers use Tor if they're trying to release information about wrongdoing. In fact, actually, police departments use Tor so that when they're connecting to track down criminals or something, the criminals don't see, oh yeah, that's a police department IP address, that we shouldn't talk to that guy. It really more has to do with a peace of mind is really what I would say is what it's about. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then let's kind of move into net neutrality, okay, and talk a little bit now. Why don't you kind of give us a quick introduction to what net neutrality is and what the EFF is doing about it?
Sure thing. So the idea with net neutrality is that fundamentally all traffic on the internet should be treated the same. That your ISP should not be blocking particular traffic. They shouldn't be discriminating different traffic. So, say your ISP also happens to offer you a voice service or a phone service, they shouldn't be allowed to degrade, say, Skype calls to you, to make that traffic flow slower or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And that's essentially what it comes down to. Is we think the internet should be essentially open and free the way it has been, and we're very concerned that more and more ISPs are in a position and where they have the incentives to change that and to flex the muscle they have as the sole gatekeepers between the rest of the internet and their customers. If you think about it, once you're on the internet, it's really easy for you to pick, I'll use Google Gmail or I'll use Yahoo Mail. Mm-hmm. But if the ISP decides, hey, we're going to make Yahoo Mail load much faster because Yahoo paid us a whole ton of money, then a lot of people are going to switch. And so it puts the ISPs in a position of getting to decide winners and losers instead of letting services on the internet compete on their merits.
Oh, all right. So you now, what was the EFF involved in actually getting people to write to the FCC, and what was that all about in this movement? Because I know you have a separate website for it, which is dearfcc.org. What's the EFF's intent behind all of this?
So the intent behind that, I should probably back it up a little bit and explain a little wonderful history, which is I'll try not to make it too long or boring.
Yeah.
So the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, a few years back, I guess back in 2010, decided we'll put out some rules that say more or less what I just described. That ISPs shouldn't be discriminating traffic. They need to be open. They can't block lawful traffic, and they also need to make some disclosures about the sorts of speeds and network management practices that their customers can expect. And then Verizon challenged this in court, and earlier this year, I mean, the court case, these court cases always last years and years, but earlier this year, the court said, you know, FCC, you currently don't have the authority to enforce these rules because way back when you decided to classify ISPs as telecommunication systems, as opposed to there's a whole long complicated regulatory issue associated with it. Mm-hmm. But the crux of the issue is that the FCC then said, okay, fine, we're going to consider reclassifying. So they put out what's called a notice of proposed rulemaking, which is a fancy way of saying they basically said, public, tell us what you think about net neutrality. And you could submit comments on their website. Unfortunately, they had a clunky old system, and it even turned out that the day that the comments were due, there was of course a deadline. It was a little bit earlier this year. Their website was so old and clunky that it completely collapsed under the weight of the comments that had been submitted.
Sounds like our government doing it at work. Exactly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no surprise there. There's no surprise there. Mm-hmm. So as part of this, EFF decided we can make this a whole lot easier, a whole lot smoother. So we created the dearfcc.org website where people can enter their comments, and then they will be submitted. EFF will submit them on your behalf to the FCC. And so right now we're in the reply comment period. So again, this is all sort of regulatory gobbledygook. But after everyone submits comments, then there's a period where everyone can reply to everyone else's comments, and that's what we're in now. And that period will end on September 15th.
Didn't they extend the original? Didn't they extend the original because the first one was so clunky? They kind of extended it. They gave people original.
Yes, actually, when their website crashed, they ended up extending it for 5 days,
only
so that they could get all the comments.
Okay. Well, now are these comments? Are they getting overwhelmed with these? I mean, who's reading these comments? Obviously, there are so many of them.
Just one lone intern named Jeremy who is just there, minimum wage.
To be honest, I don't know internally who at the FCC is tasked with reading all of these comments. I really hope whoever it is not some lone intern.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that the commissioners, especially, so they're not necessarily going to read every single comment, but they're definitely reading comments from, for example, the ISPs all submitted comments. EFF, of course, submitted comments. But there's also the nice thing about this comment system is that all the comments become public, and so all the comments are public from the first submission period. And a few organizations have tried to do some analysis and shown that, for example, the vast majority of the comments support net neutrality and think that ISPs shouldn't have this free reign to control how people access the internet.
Well, I mean, does it?
So while the commissioners might not. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I mean, does it tie into things where you hear like Comcast is going to charge Netflix more money to deliver their services? Does it get into that level?
That's exactly it. So that's actually one of the biggest concerns is that ISPs are going to start going and because, for example, if Netflix can't access all of the customers they have who happen to connect via Comcast, mm-hmm. That's a huge blow to Netflix.
Yeah.
And so Comcast realizes this and says, hey, Netflix, that's an awful nice business system. That's an awful nice video streaming system you got there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it, wouldn't it?
It sounds just like the mafia, selling protection, oh, this is such a nice business you have. It'd be a shame if somebody came and burned it down, pay us for some additional protection, and that won't happen. It's really synonymous with it, isn't it?
It bears a striking resemblance. And of course the ISPs will claim that it's because, Netflix is sending so much traffic that, that it costs us tons of money to carry Netflix's traffic, and it's all Netflix's fault.
Mm-hmm.
But I would argue that, Comcast, I'm singling out Comcast, a lot of ISPs are guilty of this.
Mm-hmm.
That these ISPs advertise to their users, hey, we are going to give you X connection speed. You pay for different speeds of service to the internet, and that doesn't just mean you have that connection speed to some of the websites that aren't so popular because they're not so popular, we can support that. It's you get it to the whole internet,
right.
And it's true that some websites, the limiting factor won't be your ISP; it'll be the website. But Netflix and other providers, where they are willing to increase the bandwidth of their connections to the ISP, it's the ISP's fault. It's the ISP saying, no, we're not going to give our customers what they paid for until Netflix also pays for it, which just seems kind of backwards to me.
So
real quick, that's what we have been harping on the show for quite a while, is that it's not Netflix pushing all of this data and all of this and using all these resources. It's not Netflix pushing it all onto these companies and saying, here, deal with this. I don't care about what the cost is. It's that the users on the other end are asking and pulling all that all that data and all that information from Netflix, and then these ISPs are getting all huffy because they're so popular. It's
by the very nature what Netflix does. It's the data. It's video streaming. It's not an email service. It's not a Dropbox, or it's not a website. It's streaming video. It's by the very nature what it does that causes it to have this additional
But again, it's not like Netflix is saying here. AT&T, Comcast, Verizon, all of you, deal with all this data. We are just pushing it out. Forget about you guys. Just deal with it. They're not doing that. It's customers are looking for streaming video, and Netflix. Let's pretend Netflix was 5 different companies. That all together made up 80% of the internet traffic, or whatever Netflix is. Then we'd be having this discussion with 5 different companies, not just Netflix. It's customers are asking for this, and it seems like ISPs are really reluctant to live up to what they're promising, their customers.
Jeremy?
I think that's exactly it. It's it'd be one thing if the issue was Netflix decided not to build out the capacity and Netflix was the bottleneck, but that's not what it is. It's the bottleneck is that the ISPs are refusing to build out the capacity and to connect to the networks that Netflix, the providers that Netflix is using to reach the ISPs. And so, yeah, that's exactly it. It's that the ISPs are thinking, hey, we can extract a little more money out of this because we're carrying more traffic for Netflix. And you're absolutely right. They're not carrying more traffic for Netflix. They're carrying more traffic for their users who have already paid for it.
So, bottom line, when does all this come to a head, and when a decision is made by the FCC on net neutrality? When is that scheduled to happen?
So I don't think there is so as I mentioned, the reply comment period ends in just about a week, a little under a week just a week next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, it's not clear exactly how long the FCC is going to take to mull its options and decide what to do next. The common wisdom is that they'll come to some sort of conclusion late this year. So presumably within the next couple of months. But they don't have a fixed timeline on that, as far as I know.
Is there anything that the FCC can do to make both sides happy, or is it's basically it's either or, and you're going to have to decide one way or the other, or is there any common ground that they can meet? ISPs do a certain way, and Netflix. Is there any, or are we pushing for total net neutrality?
So it's it's that's an interesting question. You know, on the one hand, the ISPs would obviously prefer if things stayed exactly how they are now. And then on the other hand, you have some organizations, not EFF, but some other organizations that think the FCC should really do a lot of regulation of the internet and really turn it into sort of a common carrier status where, you know, for example, when you pay your phone bill, you know, there are all these little tiny $1, 30, you know, 30-cent fees or something that go to things like the Universal Access Fund, which is a fund that the FCC has created to make sure that everyone in the U.S. has phone access, not just, you know, in well-populated areas and things like that. And there are people who think that that the FCC should go that route and extend the same sort of regulation to ISPs, whereas at EFF we're sort of at a middle ground, although obviously it wouldn't satisfy either side completely. Where we think the FCC should reclassify ISPs, but only to the point of saying, look, we're going to ignore all the sort of the common carrier stuff that comes with, you know, being like a phone company. We're going to ignore, you know, universal access. We're not going to enforce that stuff. All we're going to enforce is no blocking, no discrimination on traffic, which means no fast lanes, no slow lanes. A company can't pay your ISP to deliver its traffic faster. Once the data is on the network, it gets delivered just like it doesn't matter where it came from.
Well, there's a lot of things.
So that's what we're shooting for.
Now, it sounds like can they go with one from column A and two from column B? You know, I mean, can it be a mixing, or does it have to be one way or the other? I guess is what I'm asking.
I mean, so in some sense that is a mixing, because it leaves out a lot of the things that some organizations are asking for, but it also enforces some rules that the ISPs would prefer not to have. But there isn't a really good way to do it such that it's the ISPs sort of have to do net neutrality. I mean, there really isn't such a thing as sort of net neutrality.
I'm beginning to think that, you know, net neutrality is the middle ground, whereas, you know, Craig, if you're looking for your black and your white, I mean, you know, one would be to dissolve all the internet companies and it becomes a government utility, you know, and it's managed by your, you know, on a state level, on a federal level. Internet is internet, you know, and it's just a utility. Whereas, you know, the other one is completely unfettered. The companies have free reign of it, which is pretty close to what we have now, and they can charge who they want. And they're pushing for even more, where the companies, you know, kind of make up their own internet, even though they don't really own the internet at all. So I think the middle ground would be net neutrality.
And that's the desirable thing. Net neutrality really is the middle ground, and it's not government regulated. And then so if you don't like a particular company, you can go to another one, or can you? Can you? I mean,
so that would be a wonderful. That is actually the reality we would prefer to live in. So at EFF, we're very wary of government regulation of anything, because government, unfortunately, sometimes it works, but a lot of the times it screws up, and it's also usually acts much slower than the internet. So it took us a while to come to this conclusion that the FCC needs to step in, because for a long time we didn't want the FCC to have any part of it, but we finally came to the conclusion that, you know, it's the lesser of two evils. And part of the reason it's the lesser of two evils is because right now in most markets, you know, if you're talking about honest to God broadband, there's usually one, and if you're super lucky, two companies you can go to, and there really isn't much competition. And that's part of the problem. You know, if these broadband companies were actually competing with each other, then they would have more incentive to try and be open. But they aren't.
Well,
so there's,
how come no one's
you get stuck?
How come no one's screaming monopoly at these companies?
So some people are, and at the same time, because in a lot of scenarios, the ISPs will say, hey, look, you have a choice. You can choose cable or DSL, and that's your choice. And it's not, you can choose, cable provider 1 or cable provider 2 or DSL provider 3 or anything like that. And so, I mean, part of it too is that it's not necessary. I mean, I should be careful. I was going to say that they're not necessarily trying to stifle competition, but that's not true either. In many cases, they have worked to stifle competition. So I shouldn't try to apologize for them on that front.
Well, look at where Ben is now. Where Ben lives, he has Comcast. He also has AT&T for DSL, and he also has Uverse, which is also AT&T. So
look at all the choice I have. I can have one company that's rated consistently the worst company in America, or the other one. So, I mean, so much choice. This is awesome.
Well, you also have satellite. I mean, granted that the really.
I also have Dixie cups with string on it, and.
Yeah, exactly. You can't get too much with that technology, though. So where do you think this is going? What do you think, in your opinion, Jeremy? What do you think is going to happen? And then what do you think we're going to wind up?
So I hate to prognosticate, especially about large government agencies.
Yeah, but do it.
I can tell you where I hope it would go. So sadly, I would say that given the current state of things, I'm not sure that Chairman Wheeler, the chairman of the FCC, has the guts to reclassify and really enforce strong net neutrality requirements. I'm concerned that he thinks that he can somehow try to do some sort of net neutrality light, which, as I said, there's really no such thing as a net neutrality light. It won't work. And I'm afraid that's what he's going to try to go for. And the ISPs will have to pay some lip service, but nothing will fundamentally change. And I'm afraid that's where it's going to go. I hope it doesn't go that way.
Well,
certainly, I think it will help as people speak out. I think that makes a big difference.
So is it going to, people going to speak out when it finally affects their pocketbook? Is that what's going to happen? I mean, that's what it takes. You know, people are now paying $300 for something they could get for $50, last month, and now they're paying $300 for the same service. I mean, is that what's going to happen? Is that what it's going to take?
It may be. I mean, we definitely, unfortunately, human beings are not very good at. It's funny. We're not that great at seeing the effect that a large, slow-moving object is going to have on us until it's already hit us. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen. Is it may take that all of a sudden people see, oh wow, wait, I've got a $15 Netflix charge to access Netflix from my cable company. What is with that? Or hey, look, why is Gmail loading so much faster than Yahoo Mail? I love my Yahoo Mail. Why is it going so slow?
So yeah,
and
that's a typical typical human condition. It's people aren't going to speak up until it starts hitting them. And then they go, well, what's this net neutrality thing? What is this now? A year after it's over. And then where are you when we needed you?
Yeah. Real quick, I believe there's something coming up on the 10th in 2 days that might help people who haven't heard of it learn a little bit more about it. And I'm wondering if Jeremy had heard about the internet slowdown.
Yeah, so a lot of companies are planning. So the same way about a year ago, when there was the protests over these terrible bills called SOPA and PIPA, which were these terrible sort of government intrusions again into the internet. You might remember that a lot of websites blacked out their sites or had sort of black banners. So it's a similar thing. I don't know if it's going to be quite as widespread. I don't know if big companies like Google are necessarily going to participate.
Google is going to have a banner.
Going to be, pardon?
Google is going to have a banner up.
Oh, they are. Okay, that's good to know. So they're basically going to be having a loading icon that says, hey, look, if people don't pay attention to net neutrality, this is the future of the internet. And so the websites all over are going to be trying to raise awareness about this.
All right.
So hopefully that will help get people talking.
And of course, go to the EFF.org website, and I guess there'll be a link for Dear FCC. You still have time to put your larger complaints in there, and you have time to do that. And Jeremy, we're
submit your comments, not lodge your complaints.
Yes, and submit your comments, Jeremy, and Jeremy's going to make sure that that link is on the FCC.org. EFF website. Too many letters.
There you go.
EFF.org website.
LOL.
to the FCC, dear FCC, as well. But meantime, if you want, just go to computeramerica.com. Go to our show notes page. You'll see today's show, September the 8th, and you'll see the link to the EFF is right there as well. We have that up, and that'll be up there for you. Jeremy, we're just flat out of time. Really, thank you so much for being with us here tonight and telling us about this. And maybe in the next few months we should have you back and to see how things are panning out and see if your predictions
Sure,
are.
I'd love to come back. Absolutely.
Yeah, see if your prediction is correct, and hopefully it won't be. Because and maybe people will see the voice of reason. Probably won't until it affects them, and then when it affects them, then maybe they'll see the voice of reason. Hopefully it won't be too late by that point. Jeremy, thanks so much for being with us here tonight.
My pleasure.
All right, take care. Have a good one. Good night. All right, there you go. The Electronic Frontier Foundation. We got computer and technology news coming up next, and another News Test Bulletin review from Marty Winston. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at computeramerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we just had the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, here with us. Jeremy Galula here with the staff technologist for the EFF, talking about online privacy and net neutrality. And if you missed any portion of that, you can listen to it again. We archive all of our shows, the video and the audio, at computeramerica.com. So you can just go there, you can download it, listen to it at any time. And both the video and the audio archives are up at our website at computeramerica.com. Everything you need to know about our show is at our website at computeramerica.com. Our newly redesigned website. Thank you, Ben, and your brother Aaron, for doing that.
My pleasure. It wasn't Aaron. It was on me.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll have Jeremy Galula back on the show, in the months to come, and kind of keep tabs on net neutrality and where all this is heading, because it's going to affects all of us. Look, if we're online, this stuff affects all of us. It really does. And you need to keep on top of it, really, and hopefully not wait until it's too late. Well, it's never too late. I mean, there's always things that can be done after the fact. But anyway, that's we're gonna hear the results of this soon. Now, tomorrow, by the way, Apple, what?
Really, it's not going to be soon.
No.
No. It's currently we're on the reply comments. Again, that ends next week, and then after that, then they have to read all the comments, mull it over, talk about it, and in typical fashion of, I'm sure, many government agencies, this is probably going to go far into next year. So soon in, I guess, to the dinosaurs who have, it long time frames is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean you should not be aware of it. You should be aware of it. If you're an internet user, you need to know this stuff. And again,
information never hurt anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Go to the EFF.org website and read about it and find out more about it, because it's eventually going to affect you. It's going to affect anybody who's online. It's going to affect you.
And even if you're completely against net neutrality, you hate net neutrality with all your being.
Yeah.
Read up on it. Know why you hate it.
Yeah. Why would you want to hate it?
Well, I mean, people have their reasons, but it doesn't matter if you're for or against it. Just make sure you know what you're talking about before you say anything.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, again, thanks to the EFF for being here on tonight's show. Coming up, now we're going to have computer and technology news. We're going to do that. Anything else you want to mention before we get started there? Ben?
Yes. Apparently, what I was talking about before we actually brought the show up on the video section, I was talking to Craig, and apparently it's called the reCAPTCHA.
Oh yes, reCAPTCHA.
reCAPTCHA. It's not the CAPTCHA. CAPTCHA is what you enter in, like when you try to enter our chat room for
Okay.
Computer America, you get a CAPTCHA, which is, for us, it appears to be addresses that you have to punch in, taken from Google Street View or something like that. reCAPTCHA is another project. It's a project started by a computer scientist, the guy who actually invented the CAPTCHA. He started a project, or rather kind of like a foundation of his own, to say, we can take all these people that are entering CAPTCHAs left, right, and center, and we can, kind of say, hey, there are 100 million people entering CAPTCHAs every day. Why don't we use this? And so he took it upon himself to start up an organization where, using reCAPTCHA instead of CAPTCHA, they're able to digitize books at a rate of 100 million words a day. And 100 million words a day, that translates to about 2.5 million books a year are digitized and saved. Instead of being only in paper form, they are then saved in they're then saved on the internet somewhere, just by people dealing with these annoying little CAPTCHAs. So that's what I was talking about, where crowdsourcing was going. I believe first he used it to verify, but then he decided to take it. No, first he was using it to translate the internet. He was taking pieces of text from the internet, and he was verifying their meaning, and then he was translating it into a different language. So he was using reCAPTCHA to translate the internet from English, because the majority of it was written in English, and then translating it to many, many different languages. Now his main focus is on books. He's making about 2.5 million books a year, just to kind of save them and preserve them. So that's what reCAPTCHA is, in case you were wondering, Craig. I know, it was on your mind, burning a hole. So.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, before we start doing our news segment here on the show, I had a couple of things that I wanted to read to you. Of course, by the way, Apple's big announcements are all happening tomorrow on the 9th of April. And then on Thursday, we're going to have Gene Steinberg kind of join in and let us know what he thinks.
Tomorrow, 10 a.m.
Yes. Pacific
Eastern
time.
or Pacific?
Pacific.
So 1 p.m. Eastern.
That's right.
10 a.m. Pacific.
If you go to the Apple.com website, you'll actually see a countdown going on now. Right on our homepage.
Apparently, it's that. Apparently, it's that important.
Yeah, it is, evidently. Someone sent me that person will remain nameless, but they sent me a couple of things, like you're in IT, okay. For example, you're in IT if you paid $6,000 for your computer and $500 for your car. Okay. You're
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah. You're in IT if your pets are named Cat 5 and Cat 6.
Even though you only have 2 cats?
That's right. You're in IT if power cords breed in your office. Okay. You're in IT if your laptop is held together with duct tape. And that's one that I don't know.
IT isn't just about fixing what's wrong. No. It's about fixing what's wrong with the materials you have.
Yes, exactly. You're in IT if you accidentally tell your wife to submit a ticket when she asks you what you want for dinner.
I don't know if that deserves the raucous laughter, but okay.
Okay, how about this? You're in IT if you make Cat 5 action figures. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, you're in IT if you have a tray table on the server rack for lunch.
That's taking your work home with you.
Yeah. You're in IT if you've racked up 10 weeks of vacation and still don't have any time to take any. Okay.
Because as soon as you take your vacation days, everything is going to go wrong, and you're just going to be called back into the office.
Exactly. Now, here's one. Now, you truly know you're in IT if rock, paper, scissors is a legitimate decision-making process.
You do it. No, you do it. Rock, paper, scissors? All right.
No, exactly. You know you're in IT if you have more switches than friends. Well, of course.
There are a lot of switches.
Yeah. You know you're in IT if you have a rack server in your garage at home. Okay. And finally, you know you're in IT if all of your relatives expect you to fix their home computer.
That is the worst.
That is it. Okay, so there you go.
It is. All your friends, all your family. Hey, I know you're pretty good with computers. You mind looking? And it's like, you don't pay me anything. I'd rather not work for you. Thank you.
That's it. Yeah, well, there you go. Just thanks for whomever who sent that into them. Those were kind of fun. Okay.
They're pretty good. Okay, I got one. How many software engineers does it take to change a light bulb?
How many software engineers does it take to change a light bulb, Ben?
Doesn't matter. It's a hardware problem.
Okay. I think we should do some computer news. Okay. I think.
Why did the computer crash?
Why?
It had a bad driver.
All right. Okay. Here's the two
What?
news.
Oh, okay, news.
Tonight's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for free. That's right, everything there at slimwareutilities.com, completely free. No freemium models, no crippled versions. They all work. You don't pay for them. From their backup, their rec image backup software. Here's what you do. Go to slimwareutilities.com, download all the utilities. They're completely free. Keep them in your toolbox. Use them when you need to. And I'll tell you, when you need them, you're going to be very happy that you have it, because they will clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. And they do a terrific job. You'll be happy that you did it, and you'll thank us for it. slimwareutilities.com. In our first story from Maximum PC, who else but Paul Lilly? Facebook sees 1 billion, it's billion with a B, daily video views. So there are new features that are coming soon. Evidently, Facebook is turning its attention to videos. According to the story, the world's largest social playground is also becoming a popular hangout to watch videos. This is encroaching on YouTube's territory, is it not, Ben?
I believe so.
Yeah. According to Facebook's project management director of video, the social network has been averaging over 1 billion video views on a daily basis since June. The majority of those views are coming across mobile devices, more than 65%. Wow. And that number could get higher since video on Facebook was built to be mobile first. Okay. I guess that's kind of true. If you're there and you're catching the action of something, you can do it with your smartphone. You're going to use your smartphone. You're not going to go, wait, let me haul out my desktop computer to video this, right? Yeah. So people are sending them right from their smartphones.
I guess.
Yeah. So with so many video views occurring on a daily basis, it makes sense that Facebook is devoting resources making videos a more important part of the social experience. Now, for example, there's an updated rolling out this week that will allow people to see how many views on a video on Facebook has received. Okay, that's interesting because they've had that on YouTube for how long? It keeps track of how many people have viewed your video. You can actually it'll counter, but they don't have that. They're putting that out on Facebook now. These views will be displayed on public posts from people and pages to help users discover new and popular clips. So now you'll be able to keep track of how many people are watching your video on Facebook, which again was something that YouTube has had for a long time. Video is one of the most engaging and immersive ways to tell your story. Whether capturing breaking news, a baby's first steps, or rising to a friend's challenge for charity, it is a remarkable storytelling medium. Again, this is from Facebook. Video uploaded directly to Facebook is an increasingly important part of the news feed, and more people than ever before are sharing, discovering, and engaging with videos that they care about. There are other features in the pipeline too, some of which will roll out slowly so that Facebook can gauge the user feedback and tweak the final result. Last year, that included the autoplay feature. That's videos starting start playing automatically as you scroll through your feed. I find that annoying. And one that's currently being tested is a feature that when a user finishes watching a video, he or she may be shown additional related videos. Again, how long has YouTube had that? When you finish watching a YouTube video, what do you see at the end? A whole bunch of little squares come up.
Related videos.
Related videos. Well, evidently, Facebook is, I don't know, it sounds to me like they're copying what YouTube's doing.
You know, but YouTube got it right, so, you know.
Yeah, but that's because
although,
they got it right.
Although, how many times a video has been watched? Is that really so novel that you can kind of say, well, only YouTube should do that because YouTube thought of it first, so why would anyone else need to know how many times a video was watched?
No, I'm not saying that it's not needed. I'm just saying that there may be some litigation coming up.
Let's hope not. I mean, that's just a feature that is informative to all, and you know, for them to kind of keep that to themselves, how many times a video was watched, isn't that a little absurd?
Yeah, no, I think it is. But then again, you know, Apple went up to people they came out with iPhones with rounded corners, you know, because it looked like the iPhone. I mean,
let's hope that, you know, Google doesn't go patent trolling.
Yeah, I hope not.
Because Google seems pretty good about not going patent trolling. They do it with their smartphone industry, but you know, that's about it. I haven't really heard them. You know, I haven't really heard them go at it with their other patents.
Anything's possible. I hope not.
Let's hope not.
I mean, I like the fact that when I look at a video, I mean, I posted a video up on YouTube like about 2 years ago, and I like knowing, you know, that 14 people have looked at it. So it's important to me to know this.
You're so weird about watching that stupid Inchworm movie. My God. We need to put up a better video for you.
No, I'm talking about no, it was the inchworm versus the spider.
Yes, I know. That's what I said, the inchworm.
Yeah, the inchworm.
Yeah.
That's actually more than 12 people watched. I was just kidding. There's more people watching.
No one was disputing. Okay, whatever. That's a whole nother can of worms. This next story, Macs and PC. We did not get a chance to cover this. This happened last week sometime, and unfortunately, news is as it is. We didn't get a chance to cover it.
Okay.
So, this one, title of it, FBI says glitch helped it locate Silk Road server. And the infamous Silk Road Tor-based website was on quite a high, pun intended, having established itself as the Internet's largest illegal drug marketplace. When the Federal Bureau of Investigation shut it down in October 2013. The agency also arrested a San Francisco-based man named Ross Ulbricht for masterminding the whole operation under the nom de guerre.
Yeah.
Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah.
Hilarious. So, what is that from?
That's Princess Bride. The Princess
Yes,
Bride.
that's it. That man is now trying to have the court rule inadmissible all of the government's evidence against him. The defense recently filed a pre-trial motion of suppress evidence because the government obtained it as a result of unlawful searches and seizures, either directly because the specific warrant or ordered authorizing the service and or seizure was unlawful, or because the search and seizure constitute the fruit of the poisonous tree of a previously conducted invalid search and or seizure. So, you know, the Fourth Amendment kind of got their back there. Well, the prosecution filed its response to that pre-trial motion on Friday, dismissing any suggestion that the evidence against Ulbricht may have been obtained through unlawful means. Ulbricht offers no evidence of any government misconduct to support his sweeping claim. Instead, Ulbricht conjures up a bogeyman. Boogeyman? Boogeyman. The NSA, which Ulbricht suspects, without any proof whatsoever, was responsible for locating the Silk Road server in a manner that he simply assumes somehow violated his Fourth Amendment right. So, according to the filing, the NSA shenanigans, it wasn't NSA shenanigans, but a problem with the way the login interface had been configured or misconfigured that helped the FBI locate the Iceland-based server. The Internet Protocol address for the SR server was leaking, quote-unquote, from the site to an apparent misconfiguration in the user login interface by the site administrator, i.e. Ulrich. So in the end, that's how they apparently got all their information.
Hmm.
Now,
You
is
believe,
that true?
do you believe them?
I personally don't believe it. I don't have anything to say that the Silk Road, and by the way, the Silk Road, if any of you haven't heard of it, it was the place where people could sell drugs online. It connected suppliers with users, and growers and stuff like that, mainly for pot, but for pretty much any drug you can possibly think of. It was Tor based. It was completely anonymous. You, of course, wanted to keep yourself private while using it. And the currency, it wasn't like they could track, Visa or MasterCard.
Mm-hmm.
The currency of choice was, of course, Bitcoin,
Yes.
which is, untraceable by its very beginnings.
Mm.
So through Bitcoin, Silk Road, there was a huge drug trade going on using this website. And again, like they said last year in October, they were able to catch this guy, Ulrich, who ran the whole thing, or at least started up the whole thing, and tried to manage it. And now it's, personally, if I had to put the Ben spin on it, if that's a thing, they probably did catch him using illegal search. Illegal searches, NSA, what have you, whatever government boogeyman you can think of. They probably did catch him by breaking a couple laws, but now they probably just found a way around it. Saying that your settings were wrong when you set up your internet protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So by your faulty settings, we were able to track you down anyways.
Takes them off the hook.
It takes them off the hook for doing anything illegal, and instead puts the blame on this gentleman for, setting up his stuff wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why they wouldn't just come up and say that to begin with instead of waiting this long, I don't know. So it could be true, could be not, but that's about where the Silk Road is.
All right. Well, they got him.
They got him, but he could. He was definitely running it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, in question. It's just that all the evidence they have to point to that was, might have been obtained illegally, and therefore they can't use it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, best case scenario for this guy, mistrial.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not exactly a good guy in all this. So.
Well, exactly. I mean, what do they want? What is their hope? What do they want to do? They want to lock him up?
Ideally, he would be the facilitator for numerous. I mean, the Silk Road, again, connected the growers with users and that kind of thing, and it showed people how to package it and send it through standard mail. Mm-hmm. And were able, and they were packaging it correctly and stuff like that to get it past scanners and things like that. Mm-hmm. So they were pretty much using the Silk Road to sell their, product, and then they were using Amazon, or not Amazon, I'm sorry, the United States Postal Service, UPS, FedEx, what have you, to then distribute their drugs.
Yeah.
So no one's a good guy in all this, but just how were they able to catch him finally is the current question.
Yeah. Sometimes the method is justified by the thing.
See, and we just talked the whole first hour in saying that no, probably not. The method does not justify the means. No. That is exactly what net neutrality is fighting against. Yeah. Is that even if you're not doing anything wrong, if they catch one guy, they can then say, by Craig's logic, yeah, we can search for everyone because we found this one guy in California that's doing a drug trade, and then they're taking everyone's privacy away.
Yep. Well, that's the same thing with when you go to an airport and they start searching you, and it's all in the name of safety and security. How many? And
then you have more of a chance of being struck dead by a coconut than by getting hijacked. But that's a whole nother argument.
Yeah, I know. I mean, how much do you want to give up to of your civil liberties do you want to give up to
feel safe?
Feel safe, yeah, exactly. I don't know if these things actually ever have an answer.
Oh no, it definitely shifts with the time that they're asked, So right now, people I think are very, very happy.
Mhm.
They'll be more happy with being more anonymous on the internet instead of being less anonymous.
Well, in the interest of safety, this next story from Engadget is She Taxi's Uber for Women service launches in New York City later this month. And as they go on to say, it's as sad as it is to admit it, there are a lot of creeps in this world, which is why we wouldn't blame anyone for feeling nervous about getting a late night taxi cab. All right, here again, safety. That's why a new startup is launching She Rides in New York City and She Taxi in Westchester County and Long Island, an app-based car service for women that only employs female drivers. In the same way that Lyft operators adorn their hoods with a hot pink mustache, She Ride drivers will wear a pink scarf to identify themselves to passengers. If you look at the pictures of the women in here, that reminds me of the 50s and 60s.
I think the picture that they put up there is actually from the 50s. I don't think that's an actual.
Okay, because it looks like the airline stewardesses of the past. Exactly. Okay.
You can tell by the cars around it.
Yeah, that's true.
They have like the little pillbox hat and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. You're too young to remember stewardesses.
Oh yeah, of course. How would I know exactly what I'm looking at? That's
okay. Anyway, the app will ask a user if they're female or if there's a woman in their group, and if not, they'll be directed to another app-based car service. Okay, so you can go in as long as you're with a woman. Okay, in other words, it's not women only. In other words, you can only get the car if you are accompanied by a woman. They'll pick you up. Okay. Now the app will launch on the 16th of September for iOS users, with the New York Times reporting that an Android version will come eventually, but its devs still have a hurdle to overcome. A spokesperson for the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission, here it comes, told Motherboard that She Rides drivers will have to follow the same rules as their yellow cab counterparts, which means they're prohibited from refusing anyone service. Great. That goes against the whole thing, the whole idea. The spokesperson wouldn't elaborate on how that will affect the app's launch, but if it does become operational and successful, then users can expect the service to grow further. Its creators plan to bring it to Washington, Chicago, and Miami within the next year, even if it is a sad state of affairs that something like this should exist in the first place. I don't know, Ben. I mean, here's a service that's appealing to women for in the name of safety, and yet they're saying that they can't do that because they have to give a ride to anybody. You can't discriminate upon race, sex, anything like that.
I don't think they're doing that at all.
All right, what are they doing?
They're not saying, okay, you don't have a woman in your party or you are not a woman. Okay, then go away. They're not saying that. They're instead directing them to, I'm assuming, Uber or Lyft. One of the other.
Right. But that's like going into a restaurant saying, sorry, you're a woman. We don't serve women here in this restaurant, but let me direct you to the restaurant across the street, which does. Well, no, you're going to still have the issue with the restaurant that's not serving women. I mean, this is.
And of course, I would think in New York City, taxi. I mean, we've seen movies. Mm-hmm. It's mostly a race thing, where they said they cannot refuse service to anyone.
Right.
But I think in this case, the amount of effort it takes, like if you walked into an establishment and they said we don't serve women, that'd be one thing. But you're not walking into anywhere. You're not, shaking hands, looking at someone. It's just on that particular app.
Yeah, but it's still a. I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate here now. I'm taking the side of the. I actually think it's a good idea. But I'm saying that the people.
Okay, what if they handled it all in app? What if they had two services in the same app, run by the same company, had the same everything? It was just if you are a woman, you get one. If you are a woman in a group, or if you're just a group of guys, you get another service. It's still the same company, the same everything, same app, but you just get directed to 2 different drivers.
It's just like when you go to a baseball stadium. It's the same company, everything. It's the same place, but they have a restroom for one race and a restroom for the other race. That was considered to be, that's what civil rights was all about. You can't have restrooms that say colored on them and white. I remember that as a kid. I actually remember seeing things like that. It was the same business, but they had separate ones. That's not good. It doesn't work.
Like, I get that's bad. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's very obvious to see how this could quickly turn bad. But it's I'm sure, civil rights, it's, racism started out in a bad place, one race is over another, one race is better than another, whereas this one is just, okay, well, we're taking the stance of safety. This is what, customers are asking for, and we are trying to provide them a safer service because, let's face it, statistics don't lie.
I see both sides of it. Let's continue on after the break. Another News Tips Bulletin review from Marty Winston. Hopefully this one will work. You're listening to Computer America. Stay with us.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 120,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, Cover America Auto Care has announced revolutionary, inexpensive mechanical breakdown coverage that is now available to the general public to save consumers thousands on auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for drivers to call who own a vehicle that is less than 10 years old for a free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number is 800-483-2514. Drivers who are covered with this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair again. This is the auto coverage now sweeping across America at a fraction of what dealerships charge and is now available to the public by calling today. The number to call is 800-483-2514. 800-483-2514. That's 800-483-2514.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
Salutations, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the STM Bags Cape for Nexus 7. Now, we were very happy with the soft leather sleeve and separate easel we had for our Nexus 7. And STM Bags took about 10 seconds to get us to move on. Their cape, the little box says it's the superhero of tablet protection, not bad, has a hard pack with a plastic edge groove the tablet snaps into, and a fold-away front cover with a tongue-through loop tab closure. So the front cover has 2 hard slats within it. You fold it back, and behind with the tab coming up into the loop to make it into a sweet little easel. You can also just flip the cover behind the tablet, and the whole thing is not much thicker nor much heavier than the tablet is when naked. So bottom line, the STM Cape gives our tablet much better protection and more self-contained versatility without adding much to its bulk. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. That one sounded better.
I hope so.
Yep. So welcome back to the Computer America Show. We are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimmer Utilities. And we were just finishing up a story in which users would be given the choice, not really given the choice, but would be redirected for one group of people. If they were ladies or a group of ladies, they would be sent to one service, and if it was not ladies, they'd be sent to another.
Well, I guess what they're saying is that between the two genders, I guess men are more threatening than women.
I mean, you only have to take a couple cases of men, kind of abusing the situation before a service like this is not. It's not like someone thought of it and said, "Hey, you know what might be a good idea." It's more of, "Hey, this is kind of what people are are wanting."
Yeah, exactly.
So
Well,
it's again, I think racism comes from a place of one race is bad over another, whereas the other case is women want to feel safe. So let's try to make an app that is conducive to that environment.
and they make them feel safe because the taxi driver is a woman, and that's and of course they will only take women or women accompanied by men, but basically it has to be a woman passenger.
Yep.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
There always was that one case of the guy who picked up a couple people using Lyft, and then he kind of went on a high-speed police chase with the people in the back seat. So,
yeah.
Not saying it's just men, men and women. It's crazy people in general using the app.
Okay.
Yeah. So another thing we didn't cover last week, which you probably really should have.
Mm-hmm.
The Silk Road was one of them, and this one is Home Depot.
Oh yes.
Home Depot unfortunately had a very bad week last week.
Yep.
Home Depot confirms its payment systems were breached. Heads up, Home Depot shoppers. Pay very close attention to your bank and credit card statements if you've made a pit stop there or over the past few months. After a frenzied burst of investigation, the company confirms earlier reports of a payment information breach that may have affected home improvement types in the United States and Canada as far back as April of this year. Alas, there was still no word on just how many people have been affected by the hack, but there's just the faintest silver lining here.
Okay.
There's no evidence that your debit card PIN, personal identification number, has been compromised, and folks who bought from HomeDepot.com are in the clear. That's all thanks to the nature of the breach. Security researchers Brian Krebs added last night that the culprit used a variant of the very same malware responsible for the huge Target data breach, and I'm not going to say the other one, that potentially affected millions of customers over the holidays. That means only in-store point-of-sale systems running Windows were at risk, though that's not going to make many people feel better about all this, because I myself am one of those as well.
Yeah, you use your card at Home Depot.
I bet you have too. I bet many people have. Doesn't matter if you're Lowe's or Home Depot. Usually they're pretty close to each other. So if you've shopped at Home Depot since April, you might have gotten your credit and debit card information stolen.
Well, just check your statements and make sure.
Yep.
That's it. Well, this next story is someone threatening to expose Bitcoin founder Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay. Someone has taken over the email account belonging to Bitcoin's secretive creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, and says he will sell Nakamoto's secrets for money. The hacker, who told Wired his name is Jeffrey, claims to have also obtained information on Nakamoto that could be used to unmask his identity. No one knows who the creator of Bitcoin is. You realize that, right? Now, Jeffrey didn't tell Wired much, but when we asked him how he managed to take control over the satoshin.gmx.com email address that Nakamoto had used for some of his correspondence, he wrote, "The fool used a primary GMX under his full name and had aliases set up underneath it. He's also alive." Called him a fool. This is the guy who created Bitcoin. I am not buying this. I mean, if you're smart enough to figure out Bitcoin and you want to keep yourself anonymous, I would think he would have the wherewithal to do it properly. But anyway, in a Payspin post, Jeffrey, again that's this anonymous hacker, said he will release Satoshi's secrets if someone pays 25 Bitcoins, which is about $12,000, to his Bitcoin address. Aha! He says he has email messages dated back to 2011. Jeffrey wouldn't say how he took over Nakamoto's account, and he didn't respond to many of our questions, but it looks like he leveraged the gmx.com address to take over other Nakamoto accounts. One was used today to post a message to the P2P Foundation website, another to deface an old Bitcoin developer page on the SourceForge open source coding site. In his P2P Foundation message, Jeffrey claimed that information about Nakamoto was already being sold online. Apparently, you didn't configure Tor properly, and your IP leaked when you used your email account sometime in 2010. You are not safe. You need to get out of where you are as soon as possible before these people harm you. Why would they want to harm him?
Okay. He farmed many of the first Bitcoins. His Bitcoin wallet, he is worth millions.
Yeah.
And when you're worth millions, people are going to see that money and they're going to try to find a way to get it from you.
Jeffrey didn't provide any evidence to substantiate his claims, and it's not clear what information he really has on Bitcoin's creator. Satoshi Nakamoto disappeared from the public eye back in 2010, so it's possible that after a few years of disuse, his webmail provider that runs Nakamoto's account, gmx.com, simply allowed somebody new to register the satoshisen@gmail.com address. Based in the UK, gmx.com couldn't immediately be reached for comment. A more intriguing possibility, however, is that the account was hacked. If that's true, Jeffrey could have access to a treasure trove of private Satoshi Nakamoto emails, and that information could help unmask Nakamoto's true identity. Michael Marquette, the head administrator of the BitcoinTalk.org discussion forum, says that Jeffrey sent him an excerpt of an email he sent to Nakamoto back in March of this year. So either the email account was compromised since March, he says, or the attacker gained access to old emails when he compromised the account. I'm pretty sure that this is just some troll in it for the laughs, he says. Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, no comment on that?
It's not unlike a few scenarios I've heard of where, someone invents something very, very successful, very, very popular, and then every once in a while you're going to hear rumors of, we know who he is, or we know where he is, or he is still alive. If there is a legitimate mystery on the internet, you can bet every couple months, every couple years, something new is going to pop up that's going to try to, prove it. Much like the Loch Ness Monster, much like Bigfoot. Animal Planet has had a series running for, I think, about 8 seasons now. They have yet to find proof of a Bigfoot, or at least proof that is accepted by everyone. So, I mean, it's these mysteries, they're going to be solved every couple months, but they're never going to be, proven.
Yeah. Okay.
And unfortunately, the creator of Bitcoin is one of the best ones in modern history. So.
Okay.
So someone creates a cryptocurrency, is completely anonymous himself, and the cryptocurrency has the possibility of, being worth billions of dollars, and you don't know who made it. That would be like if Bill Gates, you didn't know who Bill Gates was. It's like, okay, this guy just made an operating system that is currently running the world. But who is he? We don't know who he is.
Bill who?
Exactly. all he goes by is the Gates. That's all you know. His username is the Gates.
And the song, The Gates, exactly. Okay.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's it's interesting.
Yes, it is. That's why I read it.
Very true. Okay, so to beat a dead horse, we here at Computer America do not advocate beating horses that are alive. But to use the phrase "to beat a dead horse," we have this article here from TechHive. And that Netflix, you may have heard of them. They've been in the news once in a while. is to join the Internet Slowdown protests on September 10th.
Uh-huh.
So Netflix has joined the Internet Slowdown Day protest against the FCC potentially allowing Internet slow and fast lanes. Scheduled for this Wednesday, September 10th, Netflix and other participating sites will demonstrate what a two-tiered web might look like by running simulated page loading icons on its pages. Other websites taking part include the ACLU, Icon Has Cheeseburger, Dig, Etsy, Foursquare, Kickstarter, Mozilla, Reddit, Upworthy, Urban Dictionary, Vimeo, WordPress, and a couple other porn sites will be involved as well. Not going to name those, but they're popular. Note, the slowdown will only be simulated, not actual. The spinning, loading icons you'll see on these sites are entirely symbolic. The idea behind the Internet Slowdown is to galvanize public support to save net neutrality, preventing carriers from making bandwidth distinctions between companies who pay for carriage and those who do not. The FCC has been struggling to redefine net neutrality after its old rules were struck down earlier this year. Companies such as Facebook and Google and Twitter have already been lobbying the FCC to save net neutrality. The idea of allowing internet fast and slow lanes is being advocated by some major U.S. companies and broadband carriers who would profit by charging a premium for high-speed carriage. Citing Time Cable, AT&T, Comcast, Time Warner Cable, and Verizon as the enemy, Internet Slowdown co-organizer Fight for the Future is trying to rally all Americans behind its September 10th protest. Quote, 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 given the FCC has shown itself open to allowing cable companies to charge for preferred fast access, the stakes are high in the net neutrality debate. Hence the timing. Internet Slowdown Day protest takes place just 5 days before the FCC closes second round comments on the net neutrality issue, which we were just talking about between the segments of 9:30 to 10. You know, our first hour,
Right.
the last half hour of our first hour of this show, we were just talking about net neutrality.
With EFF.
Yeah, with EFF. So Netflix, as well as Google and all those other websites I listed out earlier, will be taking part in this.
Okay.
So don't be so you know a couple of people in the chat room and a couple of people I've heard just out and about. It will be a simulated slowdown. It will not be an actual. We're going to increase packet loss to slow everything down. It is going to be completely simulated.
Okay. And that happens
September 10th.
September 10th.
Wednesday.
Yep. Well, here's a piece of information that I know you'll be thrilled to know. Obviously, Apple is going to be unveiling their big thing tomorrow on their press event. We don't know what it is exactly, but we suspect what it's going to be. The iPhone 6, maybe an iWatch, but we won't know until tomorrow. I'll be watching it, and we'll convey that information to you tomorrow, as well as having Gene Steinberg join us on Thursday to discuss it further. But Apple has shipped one of its products, a brand new product called CarPlay. Capital C, little AR, and then capital PLAY, CarPlay. And it shipped it in a car that probably most of us will never drive, and that's the Ferrari sports car.
What? Not everyone gets a Ferrari underneath their Christmas tree?
No. Ferrari's long-anticipated rollout of its iPhone car interface slowly began today with the delivery of a CarPlay-equipped sports car. The model was unspecified, to an unnamed client in Italy. He might have looked something like the gentleman in this clip from the video released by Ferrari today. They actually lifted a video there. Honda, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Hyundai are among the many automakers that have committed to building CarPlay compatibility into new models. None of those have materialized yet, nor have the third-party installable units from Alpine or Pioneer. Ferrari beat them all across the finish line. Now, the availability of CarPlay is unlikely to cause a stampede on Ferrari dealerships. Most of us need to carry more than one passenger at least some of the time. Most of us also need things like trunk space to enjoy our cars fully. Also, some of us would rather not pay outrageous sums of money for regular maintenance on our vehicles. Still, It's good to see Apple CarPlay is finally out in something. The promise is enormous. It would be great to be able to plug your iPhone into your car's infotainment system and use your email, messaging, navigation, and other apps safely from a central display. Okay. The CarPlay implementation will vary from car to car. In Ferrari's case, the display is a touchscreen. Mercedes-Benz does not use touchscreens in its car. However, so its use of CarPlay will rely more on voice control. In the prototype we saw earlier this year, there was a hard button on the console to summon Siri, plus the infotainment system's touchpad and dial. If nothing else, with Ferrari crossed off the list, the next CarPlay-enabled car to come out just might be in a price range that's within reach of regular folks. Well, I don't know. Could be.
Apple, like,
Yeah.
do you think they're putting in Apple CarPlay and it's going to be, kind of workable with other phones, or do you think it's only with iPhones?
It's only with iPhones. Apple's looking
Like, you don't think there's going to be like a version for Android out there that's going to, have like an Android-based car operating system?
Nope. Apple's not going to do that. As a matter of fact,
No, I know Apple wouldn't, but I mean Ferrari wouldn't partner, and then they could offer the two models.
That's possible. I don't know, but right now, Apple only makes stuff for Apple, with one exception.
Well, I mean, Apple's not making Ferrari.
No,
Ferrari is putting Apple into their cars, so it's completely up to Ferrari if they want to, put something else in.
Yeah, that's true. Did you know, by the way, Apple only makes one Windows product? Do you know what it is?
Windows 8.1.
No. iTunes.
What's that?
iTunes. Yeah. That's the only Windows product Apple makes. Apple only makes products for Apple, but they made the one exception, and for obvious reasons, because they wanted iTunes, they wanted it available to all platforms. So they make a Windows product. It's the only Windows product Apple makes. There you go.
That's a fun fact.
Yeah, it is. It is a fun fact. Okay, what you got?
All right. What do I got? No, not that. Not that. No, I was gonna do this one about AT&T Verizon wanting to reclassify what broadband is, because the FCC wanted broadband to include 10 megabits a second. Yeah. Which currently it's 4. Anything up to 4 is still considered broadband. So they're trying to reduce the speed so they don't have to upgrade their servers, or upgrade their network to provide that higher use case scenario. But I think instead, MSN, they're still a thing, I believe.
Yeah.
MSN, known to millions as the site that Internet Explorer insists on going to after a fresh install, too true, is getting a new look as part of a broader rebranding effort. Yeah. Real quick, that is the perfect way to describe it. I mean, I never go to MSN, but whenever you do a fresh reinstall of the Windows operating system, Internet Explorer will take you to msn.com. Like, that is the default loading page on the default operating system.
Wow.
For Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
So the venerable portal site is Internet Explorer's default homepage and boasts millions of visitors. Its new stylish makeover brings back memories of iGoogle and so many other portal-type sites before it. The different news section can be personalized to favor your interest, and there's also integration with Outlook.com, Facebook, and Twitter. The site aggregates news from a wide range of sources spanning wire services, online publications, and local news outlets. The news partnerships will vary by country, by a country-to-country basis. In the U.S., partners include the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, The Guardian, and Telegraph are chosen in the UK. So, overall, it's a good-looking update, and it looks much fresher than the current MSN website.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I want to say on that subject. But yeah, MSN is getting a little bit of an update.
Yeah, I haven't used MSN in so long. I've almost forgotten what it looks like. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think they still have their like you can go right now to preview.msn.com, preview.msn.com to get what it would look like if you want to. And I mean, it honestly, there's a lot of information on it, so
All right.
it could be a good change. I'm not saying that personally I'm going to use it, but it looks better.
Okay. Well, that's it. This again from Tech Hive. Google Glass appears in the Play Store, but still costs a small fortune. While the focus of late has been on the Moto 360 and other Android Wear smartwatches, Google is giving some attention to its other wearable, Glass. You can now buy the Explorer Edition from the Play Store, though the price is the same as when it was an invite-only product, $1,500. As a perk, Google is throwing in a pair of shades or frames free when making the purchase. Glass comes in 5 different colors and ships from the warehouse in 1 or 2 business days. You will need the My Glasses companion app from the Play Store on an Android device running Ice Cream Sandwich or higher. There is also a version for the app for iOS devices too. So,
$1,500.
$1,500.
I saw my first one about 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
I was just walking around downtown, and a gentleman was, on a date with a lady, and he was wearing Google Glass. And I thought it would be incredibly rude and awkward of me to stop and break up their little dinner date and say, "Hey, I like what you're wearing on your face, sir. That is awesome." So instead, I just kind of took a little mental image of it, and it was nice to see it out in the wild.
Yeah, you could have told them, "Listen, I'm work with Computer America, and I just thought let you know you're the first Google Glass I've seen since our,
See, I don't have the cojones to do that. So.
Okay, all right.
And it seems kind of weird and rude at the same time. So
yeah,
just kind of keeping a note.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
One story that we probably won't have time to finish. Turns out that bees, especially specifically those honeybees, bacteria from bees' bellies may fight persistent pathogens. So the long and skinny of this one is apparently to many store-bottled, a lot of bottled honey that you get from the store is made in factories with bees in very controlled circumstances, but the lactic acid produced in bees, from kind of outdoor kept natural honeybees, contains some of the I don't want to say antibiotics, but a lot of the bacteria that can help fight
infection.
So
Okay.
instead of using antibiotics and antibiotic-resistant viruses are a huge problem in hospitals.
Oh yes, of course, it's horrible.
So and it turns out that there is a correlating graph to show that the less people eat eat honey with natural bees instead of factory bees and factory honey, there's a correlation between the two. So I mean, honey has been hailed since ancient times to be quite medicinal.
Yes, it is. It's one of the only foods that I know of that doesn't spoil. They found
and it's one of the only foods that if you ate only honey, you'd get enough nutrients to live.
Yeah, but you probably get diabetes too because it's too much sugar.
No, I don't think you get diabetes. You'd probably get sick of honey, like way before diabetes was a problem. But
well, it's probably it's anyway. The honey concoction was tested on another number of pathogens, and speaking of this, I saw this NBC thing on the doctor who contracted Ebola and was cured. I don't know if you saw it. I still have one question about that. Now that he's cured, why can't they make because he's cured, why can't they make a vaccine against Ebola from
See, what I think what a lot of people don't get is that Ebola, even though it's this huge, deadly super virus thing, bed rests, clean wounds, clean drinking water, eat healthy, eat what you can, proper living conditions and proper patient care takes that 50% mortality rate down to like 10 to 8% mortality rate. Like,
well,
Ebola isn't really the biggest killer. It's the conditions in which Ebola is spreading are.
Well, still though, they can make a venom, a vaccine for it from his blood type. You
think so, but I don't think it's that easy. Craig, if you thought of it and you're a talk show host, don't you think a scientist somewhere would have thought of the same thing?
I was telling somebody else the same thing. Why? Anyway.
So obviously it's not possible.
Well, it has to be something.
60
we're missing something.
You work on it, Craig.
Yeah, I will. Tomorrow it's Gamer Tuesday. Yeah.
Oh.
Grayson Hamilton is going to be joining us for both hours. It's all about computer games, and more games. We're going to talk about some of the newest titles. There was just a recent convention, the PAX convention. We're going to be talking about all of that on tomorrow night's show. So if you're interested in games, here's where you want to be. Grayson Hamilton is going to be joining us for both hours. So that wraps it up, and then we'll see you tomorrow night. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
That's it. Just good night, everyone.
10 seconds.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, and we're out there, and let's say thanks again to everybody. Night in the chat room. See you tomorrow. Okay. And
$100 for 7 weeks of pasta.
Oh, sounds yummy.
Apparently, it's being promoted by Olive Garden, and they're giving away these passes for $100, and you get a free entree every day for 100 days.
Well,
I'm saying a free entree for every day for 7 weeks.
How do you get that?
Turns out that there were only 1,000 passes sold, but it seems like on Facebook and social media they will be giving them away as well.
Oh, we'll have to go to Olive Garden on Facebook. All right, everybody, good night. We'll see you tomorrow with a Gamer Tuesday show with Grayson Hamilton. Night.
Night.